Hello and welcome to our wall variation of slow down yoga. So using the wall as a prop is a really great tool for really restorative postures. So before we start the restorative stuff, what I want us to do is a little posture work. So we're going to try to back ourselves against a wall that you have open. So if you need to readjust or find something that you can put your back to, sometimes a door frame if we don't have like a full open wall, or even your couch. I know it's not as tall as our body is or our legs are, but it still definitely works. So finding a couch or a chair, a door frame, or a full open wall. So if you need to pause, go find a new space and then join me back. So once you are settled into your spot, scoot yourself up against, I'm going to say wall because I'm using a wall, but again, any prop works. But scoot yourself up against the wall, finding your back, your mid-back, and upper back, then the back of your head against the wall as well. So a lot of times if we have our posture and we have our upper back against the wall, our head slightly lean forward just depending on how our posture changes. If we can't get our low back straight, whether we want our legs out and then our low back wants to round, what you can do in a cross-legged or straight-legged position, you can find a little towel or blanket to sit on, and just lifting yourself up a little bit lets the hips open and lets the hamstrings open a little bit to feel a little bit more comfortable here. I want the main focus to be on your upper back, not lower back and hips and hamstrings. So once you are all settled in, maybe sitting on a pillow, I want you to take that adjustment again by drawing your core in, finding that mid-back, upper back, and then I want you to just take your hands out to the side. So it seems pretty simple, but once you have your head against the wall, you might start to feel some opening through the arms and shoulders and chest. So backs of your hands to the wall first, relaxing your shoulders down, feeling almost like you have that string pulled up from the top of your head and down to through your spine. And then I want you just to switch things around a little bit. Place your palms facing out, kind of like doing a stop sign. Trying to relax the shoulders down a little bit. Then we'll do the opposite. So still, it's kind of like just taking your fingertips towards the ground. And then we'll switch them so palms face up first, and then fingertips down. Let's go back to that first one just one more time. So the stop sign. And then the backs of the hands again. If you need to rest or wiggle things out a little bit, feel free to do that. And then we're going to take the hands high up above the head. So same concept here, backs of the hands are trying to touch the wall. Because of our posture and shoulder mobility and upper spine mobility, we might not be able to get the shoulders and the head and the arms against the wall, and that's fine. Just think you're trying to get there. Engage the muscles you would engage to get there. A lot of times we want to overcompensate with the lower back and pop the ribs out. So what trumps is the back. I want to keep that stable and strong and just as far back as the arms will let you. So exhale, draw the core in. We're going to do a few pulls. So I want you to pull the elbows down. Inhale, opening the chest as you do that, and then back up. The reason why I want you to inhale as you drop down is because I want you to think about lifting the chest. You can also think about pulling the shoulder blades together. It's another one. Naturally, your shoulder blades should kind of rotate up here, and then they kind of rotate down and come in together. Find the breath pattern that works for you. And one more time, then we're going to end at the bottom there. Okay, so from here, I want your elbows to be right out from your shoulders. And we're just going to do a few rotations. So trying to keep that upper arm where it's at. and just rotate up and down. Just a few of them. You might feel some work in the shoulders with these first few, but it will let us really appreciate the restorative after. Maybe 1 or 2 more times. Good, and again, rest the shoulders, circle them out. Okay, so now we can move that pillow away because what I want you to do is come on to or facing your side. So what we're gonna do now, I do want you to be in a forward straight leg position. So I guess we can grab that pillow back if we feel we can't sit up straight. So if you're here with straight legs and you feel tension in your hamstrings and you're rounded back, that's just your hamstrings pulling your pelvis in that tuck position, then I definitely want you to sit up a little bit, whether that's a pillow, yoga block, something. And what that allows is you to sit up just a little bit straighter, okay? So you might still feel that work or tension in the hamstrings, but it just allows you to align a little bit better. So once you are off to your side, really doesn't matter which side you start on. For me, I'm starting right side of my body towards the wall. Then I want you to take like you're doing like a big backstroke or a big circle, making a big circle on that wall. We might get to that high point and our shoulder kind of tells us to stop, and that's fine. Maybe you scoot away from the wall a little bit and you're able to get a little higher or all the way around. Okay, so your distance away from the wall varies the intensity. Closer to the wall, deeper the stretch. So there's a few different kinds with the palms facing the wall. You come up and you might twist the torso. That feels great. Or you might try to keep the torso straight forward and just let the arm come back. Do a few test runs of how this feels. What feels best for you, your shoulder, your torso. And then I want you to pause in a few places. Maybe you start with a twist and move the hand just a little and then try to kind of square yourself off. Trying to draw the shoulder blade down a little bit. Big breath in. This is kind of a move for your exploration. So again, finding distances from the wall is going to make a huge difference. And then the amount of angle with your shoulders. So let's flip around and find our other side. If you would like to spend more time on one side, feel free to pause the video and stay on that side for a little longer. Again, find that nice tall alignment, whether that's with the pillow or not. Straight legs out. And again, your first one might just be that arm. Oh, I can't get back. I'm a little too close to the wall. So I scoot away. And now I can get all the way around, depending on your mobility. And try a few with that little twist. And then find those little angles where you hold that hand and then open back up. You'll notice the difference between bent arm and straight arm. Remember drawing that shoulder blade down so your shoulder isn't peeking out in front and the shoulder blade's being drawn down and kind of stabilizing the joint. Good. Release when you've had enough. Maybe pause the video so you can stay a little bit longer, but now we get to go into our more restorative posture. So it's a little bit of a setup, but it feels really, really great once you get all in there. So what I'm going to have you do is, if you do have that little pillow, maybe a good chest opener here as well. So if you place it about how how long your torso is. You can adjust as you need to. And then you sit kind of how you were, legs off to the side, and you sit as close to the wall as you can, because then when you lay your elbow down and spin the legs up the wall for feet up the wall pose, you have that pillow right behind you, and then your hips are nice and close to the wall. Again, the distance away from the wall shows a variation of how flexible or how accessible this move is. If you're like, my hamstrings can barely straighten, maybe you want to scoot a little bit away from the wall or just leave the knees bent. So once you get kind of settled in and find your level, I want you to try to relax and stack the legs right on top of their joint, right on top of the hip joint. Now with the pillow, it's under my head right now, which is fine, but what we want to do is more like of a chest opener. So what I'm going to do is maybe hold my leg and try to scoot that pillow underneath more the chest, or you might need to adjust a little bit more, sit back up and adjust. But having that pillow or blanket right underneath that mid back, letting the chest open, so you can maybe take the hands to the side, maybe up in that field goal position. And take a few breaths. If you want to skip the pillow altogether, feel free to slide that right out of there. Think of all that blood flow that is going down into the legs. You're kind of helping it recirculate a little bit. Maybe take another breath or two here. We're actually going to take the pillow out from under your back if it's still there. The easiest way to do that is bend the knees, kind of roll off to that one side, slide that pillow out, and then back up to the wall. So this next one we're going to do is supported figure 4, lying on your back. So we're going to do the right knee or right hip first. So first taking that left leg a little straighter, crossing the right ankle over the left knee. For some of us, this position, you'll feel that right hip start to open up. To be a little bit more stacked, you might pull that foot down in line with your knee. If that becomes to be too intense for the hip and you start to roll up the wall on your low back, scoot away from the wall just slightly. Engaging some of the low back muscles to try to straighten out that spine, or at least find a neutral spine, will deepen the stretch of the hip muscles all the way around. Maybe some of us feel a little more hamstring, some of us feel a little bit more outer hip. Maybe take another breath or two there, and then to get out of that, press into the wall or your prop with the left leg and release. Before we go into the other side, just maybe a little internal rotation, meeting wide feet, and let the knees rotate in. And we'll take that right foot in the middle and find a little lift to set that left ankle on that right. Again, adjust the body closer to the wall for a little bit more intensity, a little bit away for a little less. Again, trying to engage those deep core muscles, the deep low back muscles to help stabilize the spine and pelvis so we can let the hip stretch. like I've said a few times, if you like to stay in any of these sides or postures longer, feel free to just pause the video and hang out in that move, stretch posture as long as you need, and then restart it. Okay, so let's release that left hip. So press into the right foot, release the left hip. Again, let's go that little internal rotation. So feet wide, rotate in one and then the other. So for your final move, we'll all end up together on our back on the mat. But you have 3 different options for this last one, and then we'll end together. So we're gonna do butterfly on the wall on your back. So if you scoot just a little closer to the wall, however it feels comfortable for your bottoms of your feet to come together, and let your knees fall out to the side. So taking a few breaths there, maybe feeling some inner thighs open up. Feel free to stay here a while. If you have enough space on your wall, some of us might not have enough space, or if we're using a couch, this doesn't always work. But if you would like to try straddle, simply is instead of butterfly, we just straighten out the legs into our straddle on the wall. It lets gravity do a lot of the inner thigh release. If neither of these feel comfortable or that you want to stay here, you can just simply find your way onto your back on your mat in butterfly or find a relaxation. We will all end up there in a moment. If you did choose to do straddle and you got to a pretty deep stretch, way to come out of this safely, especially with the inner thighs having to do the work to bring you back into center, is engage the core, kind of lift everything up and in. You can even use your hands a little bit to help your knees bend. Bring it in, pass through that butterfly. If you're in butterfly, come with us, and we'll rotate on our mat or scoot back so you feel fully room to be fully extended on your back. So again, you can be butterfly or fully relaxation. Arms out, legs out. And then coming with those feet off the wall, it just feels good to have that release or relief of the legs laying flat with the body again. It's a great opportunity to try to really relax the whole body, but even more specifically the legs. Maybe you give focus to that. Exhale, try to melt the thigh muscles, melt the glute and low back muscles, even the calves and all the little muscles of the feet. As you lie here, I just want you to bring to mind a few pieces of gratitude from your day. A few high points that you're thankful for. Start setting those mental pathways of positivity. Stay here as long as you would like, as long as you need to feel this deep relaxation. I want to thank you all so much for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.